when you grow up that way, when you are the shy wallflower, as it were, you want to be the good boy. And the good boy goes out and he chooses a good college with a good major. And then he chooses a good job right out of college because this is going to lead to a good career path. And when you start heading down that path, as you've heard from some of the speakers today, you then get to tell yourself, oh, this is great because I'm going to be happy when I get the next promotion. I'm going to be happy when I get the next pay raise. I'm going to be happy when I finally meet that woman who is going to be able to be my partner in life. Then I'll be happy when we have kids. I'll be happy when we go on vacation. And I will definitely be happy when I finally make a difference in the world. But what's led so many of you here to not just this event, but to this point in your life, is that you've come to realize that happiness is not some list of pleasing circumstances and achievements that you just get to check off, and then it's enough checks, and you're like, hey, I'm happy, and I get to stay here. It doesn't work that way. And so what I started to look for was I started to look within, because that's where happiness arises from. And that it arises that way with a specific type of mindset that allows you to choose and tune in to happiness in a very specific way that we're going to talk about and show you. So, before I got to that point, before I found some of the things that I'm going to share with you guys today, I tried a lot of things. I'm sure many of you are familiar with them. How many of you meditate? How many of you do yoga? How many of you take care of your bodies, right? Eat well? How many of you drink green juice? I knew there was, yeah, I saw the bottles walking around. I did all of it, all right? I tried all of it. And I will absolutely admit, a lot of those things did help in some way. They absolutely did. But what I continued to sense for myself was that it felt like I was on a roller coaster, where it was like happiness is here, happiness is gone. Happiness is here, happiness is gone. Here's peace, no, it's gone again. And you feel like this seesaw, this roller coaster of results. And I'm not talking about the normal ebb and flow of different experiences of life. I mean, it's like so hard to get back there and find it again. It seems to elude us. Until I discovered the work that I want to share with you today. This work is predicated on the understanding and expansion of consciousness. Consciousness is a big word that's been thrown around in a lot of different contexts over the last several years. So I want to give us a very simple, focused definition for this. It actually comes from the pioneer behind this work, iPEC's founder, Bruce Schneider. And that is, here we go, consciousness is the process of awareness and the awareness of the process. Very simple. There was something elegant about that. I was really drawn into this idea of awareness to begin with because I was already trying to become more aware within of who I am. And then I thought, okay, so it's the process of awareness. What's the process? What is this process that somehow gives us all of this insight? Because I've had a lot of different insights. I've had a lot of beautiful wisdom shared, but how do we do this intentionally, consciously, so that we can move through these different experiences of life? I had realized that what I was missing was quite literally something that I had lost sight of. I lost sight of it simply because it's invisible. What I was missing, what I wasn't seeing, was quite obvious. We are energy. At our very essence, our cells, our tissues, our muscles, it's all made up of energy. That's where it comes from. That energy and the way that it forms within our cells is ultimately, it's the lungs we breathe with, the heart we beat with, the mind, the brain that we think with. It all comes from that energy. What I realized and what I found through this work was that our energy has a specific makeup to it. So the process was to be able to understand what are we truly made of and how does it work. Once I started to do that, I recognized that this energetic makeup that we all have, it's like DNA. It tells us exactly who we are. It tells us how we're going to react in different circumstances. Most importantly, it tells us who we can be and how we can not only choose, but tune in to what it is that we want in life and what we want to experience. So, I've got roughly 40 years of discovery and research among our team to share with you in the next 10 minutes. All right? So who's with me? Should we go for it? Come on. Okay, so this half of the room wants it. What about you guys? What do you think? All right. Excellent. Thank you. So, another comment or two about energy. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It merely changes forms. It's a very, very important concept. It merely changes forms. And specifically for the human form, it has two types. The first of these types is known as catabolic energy. It's the energy of breaking down, of depleting, of draining, of constricting, of weakening. The reason why it's doing that is that, as we heard Tal Ben-Shahar say before, when we view stress, when we view the stimulus of our lives as a negative thing, as impacting us in some way, we need a burst of energy to be able to combat and fight that stress. What our body does is literally drain us, meaning drain the energy to give us a quick burst. Do that long enough and you will be extremely depleted. It's the effect of stress that we keep hearing about. But there's another form of it. That other form is anabolic energy. It is literally the process that we use to build ourselves, to build our bodies. It's the energy not only of building, but of expanding, of growth, of strengthening. And we can feel these forms of energy take place. How many of you can feel those times when you are constricting versus those times you're expanding? You can feel these forms as they take place. But what decides what form your energy takes? For that, we need to take a look at this, because your energy comes from your consciousness. You can think of your consciousness as your life attitude, meaning every single experience that you have ever been through in your life, all the relationships, all the ups, all the downs, every time you've had any experience that you've assigned any form of meaning to, forms a specific way of seeing the world, an attitude about life and the way you interact with it. That life attitude, that consciousness, comes through energy, which ultimately becomes thoughts, it becomes feelings, and it becomes actions. It's in this way that we talk about not just why energy matters, but how energy matters. You see, I'm not saying that it's significant or important. I'm actually telling you energy will become matter. And it's through the thought forms, the feelings, and the actions that you take based off of these patterns, it will become the matters of your lives, of your relationships, of your career, of your situation. This is how our reality gets created into form. So, the last thing here, which is so critically important to us, is that this energy has patterns. Those thoughts, feelings, and actions come into form in specific ways. And those specific ways are actually 7 different patterns, 7 different levels of energy. If you can't see this great, don't worry, I'm going to break it down further in a second. What this does is this helps us reveal the patterns, kind of the code of what's really going on energetically for us. And what it also allows us to do is to identify at any time where we actually are and what's really going on that's putting us in that position. It helps us better understand what's going on in our consciousness within those thoughts, our perceptions, so that we can change it at a root level, at a core level. When we're at level 1 and 2, these are the catabolic levels of energy. What we are experiencing at this time is that we believe that life, the world, our situation, our relationships, our interactions are happening to us. And they're happening to us in such a way as we feel like we have no control over them, as something is being forced. And when we totally shrink, we feel like we are powerless, we're helpless to change our circumstances because we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not strong enough to be able to do anything about what's happening to us. And so we completely shrink at level 1. Or we feel like we're going to fight this out. We're not going to allow this to just simply happen to us. So instead, our energy kicks up, and I'm going to force this situation back to what I want it to be, just like it's trying to force itself on me. So I will fight it, and I will push back, I will resist, I will defend, I will argue, I will fight. Anyone see this going on in the world right now? Maybe. But then we begin to move into the anabolic levels. When we move into level 3, this is the beginning of that expansion process. The reason why it's the beginning of the expansion, or what's actually occurring within your consciousness and energy, is that you have responsibility, meaning you have the ability to respond and you know it. Now, the way that you do that at level 3 is that you now begin to manage your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, because you're managing them to try to get some type of a result, and you've got that result of peace that you want to try to get back to somehow. What we're doing at level 3, while it is very positive in the sense that it moves forward, but it's moving forward while trying to consistently manage level 1 and 2. This is when you're managing happiness when, meaning I'll be happy when I can manage it this way. I'll be happy if I can manage it that way. When I was undertaking a lot of those other practices, meditation and yoga and eating healthy and gratitude journaling and all those types of things, what I realized was I was not truly connecting to what those experiences were. The up and down was because I was simply trying to manage my way to happiness. I don't think that's what we're here for. And so what I really wanted to share with you guys are what level 4, 5, and 6 are. At level 4, we have a profound gratitude for what is in our lives and what is present. We have this unbelievable compassion for others, because when we are incredibly grateful for what we have, we see others' circumstances, and we want them to be better, to heal, to have what we are grateful for. And so we give to them in any number of ways. We view life through both a gratitude and a compassion filter. That turns into being of help, being of service. It is the way in which we give and contribute to the world, to heal, to fix. This is the energy that gives us our teachers and our nurses and our therapists and our public servants and our coaches. This is where it is born from, literally the profession that comes into matter from this energy. Now, when we move ourselves into level 5, all of a sudden, a lot of the good, the bad, the right, the wrong start to fade away, because we realize that that's not what life is about. We don't get caught up in those things. Instead, we begin to find a contentment. We find that contentment because of the way in which we can accept that this just is what it is. But beyond the happiness that is associated with contentment, there's one more thing so powerfully gets infused at level 5. I can accept what is. I'm content with what is. But I can also see what can be. I have a happiness that is not only from contentment, I have a happiness from possibility. I have a happiness because of the opportunity being presented by these circumstances. We can see all of the different things as they unfold if we're not caught up in are they right, are they wrong, are they hurting somebody, but instead just recognizing they are what they are. Now we can step back just as Morgan Freeman did. Sounds like an opportunity. What is life asking of you now to be and to become? How are you going to be the happiness that you seek? One more level, though, that I wanted to share with you. And that's level 6. I'm going to leave level 7 as a little bit of a mystery today. But at level 6, all of a sudden, whereas at level 4, our connection to happiness came through that gratitude, that compassion, that connection to help others. At level 5, that connection to happiness came from the acceptance, the contentment we have, but the possibility that is also there. At level 6, we no longer need a reason. We have this profound joy for all of life's experiences, and that's what we connect to. It's the fullness of life that you've heard some of the speakers already talk about today. It's how is it that we can have and recognize that every single experience that we have has a richness to it. It has equal value, even if others might call it good or bad, because every single experience teaches us more about who we are and why we're really here and what is this. And so when we're able to connect fully into the present moment, all of a sudden, we can consider the fact that we are happiness. I am joy. And you move into that place of being. You be that quality, that experience that you want to bring forward. Share a very quick story and then tell you about a gift that's emerged through the work that we're doing with Wahasu. Very recently, I had the great fortune of going away with my company on retreat. 40 of us up into the hills of Vermont. And we did a bunch of exercises for our own development as well as to establish better connection among ourselves. And one of the simple questions that was asked of all of us was, when do you feel most connected? I was fortunate enough that many other people spoke before I did, because it gave me an insight that I had never had before. Because initially my mind went, like many do, I went towards nature for myself. I pictured myself out on the hiking trail, hearing the rustling of the leaves and the babbling brook and the chirp of the birds and feeling my feet underneath that path that I happened to be on at any given time. But then in nature, I also absolutely love the beach, so I started to picture the moments, the presence that I've been on the beach and the roaring of the waves and the crashing against the ocean and the seagulls and the kids just playing and frolicking and having so much fun and joy. And then, how many parents do I have in the room? As far as I can see, a lot. There we go, okay. My last thought was that I thought of my own kids. And while they're growing up a bit now, I thought about when they were first brought home as babies and when they would fall asleep on your chest. And you could feel that heartbeat. You could feel it start to come into a certain alignment, congruency. And that's when I realized that I connect best, I connect most, I connect deepest, both to myself, to others, to the moment, to the experience, when I am in harmonic rhythm with what's going on. When you are out in nature, there is a rhythm in the mountains. There is a rhythm that is there on the beach. There is a rhythm in every single experience that you have. The question is, which rhythm are you tapping into? How are you connecting to these higher levels? What else can you be connecting to that's going on? Because when you find the harmony in the rhythm that is going on right now, you will be either at level 4, 5, or 6, and you will feel it very deeply, very resonantly, and very congruently. I could talk to you about this stuff for weeks, if not months, and I would love to, but I don't think that would make the team here at the World Happiness Summit very happy. So, what we arranged with Huahasu was we talked about how could we be of the greatest contribution to what's going on here. And because of who you guys are, meaning leaders within your own lives, within your communities, within your careers, within your businesses, organizations, classrooms, and what have you. And because of the mission here at Huahasu is so unbelievably similar, almost identical to the mission of iPEC. To raise it's raising the consciousness, the vibration, the energy, the happiness of the world, not just one person at a time, but a whole movement at a time. And because of that, we want to make sure that all of you are empowered with all of the tools you possibly can to move forward, which is why there's an assessment that goes along with these 7 levels, so that you not only understand what these 7 levels are, but you will actually understand what your energetic DNA is. So you can see the exact experience of life you are having right now. Understand the energy and consciousness that is creating the life experience right now. And that is now something that, in a couple of pieces, have been delivered to you, meaning that every single person here is going to not only receive the assessment, but we have brought a team of 50 coaches who you can meet with and ask questions of, and they will debrief your results after the event. It's an hour long. We want you all to fully take advantage of what's here. This has been a life-changing experience and information for people to go through, and an experience for them to go through. It's done with tens of thousands of people a year. It's been done with the methodology with 100,000 people a year. It is a very powerful experience because of what it will open up. But in the brief time I've had on this, I hope that it has opened your mind to what is possible and what it is you can tune into. Because when you tune into it, the choice is automatic. So whether it's in the debrief or even just from this, there's the copy of the assessment. So it'll give you an idea of your particular profile and how it breaks down, both under stress and also when you're at your best. Whether it be the results you get in the report, whether it be an email if you want the slides and the copy of that chart, you can email me, we'll send it to you. If you stop by our booth, we'll give you a copy of it. Use the insight from the 7 levels to help you tune in. when I started to recognize what I was really truly trying to be mindful of, intentional about, that's when all of a sudden the meditation and yoga and the way I was taking care of myself and the gratitude sunk in at a completely different level. Because at any given time I was able to understand, based on what I'm going through, let me check in and see where my energy is right now. Because that helps me understand, why am I having this experience? What's really going on? And then I could tune in and double check it, because your emotions are this wonderful radar detection system. Your mind occasionally will try to fool you. Your emotions will say, nah, ain't gonna fly. Your emotions will help you tune in to make sure your check-in is not only accurate, but it'll also help you tune in to where it is that you want to be. Not what you want to do, what it is that you want, who it is that you want to be. So that you can take the third step of how is it you not only identify it, but how do you align to it, so that you can authentically put yourself into that pattern and tune in to that vibration and that sequence. And it'll allow you to do it authentically. I'd love to be able to shift at all times from level 1 to level 6, but it doesn't always work that way. Occasionally, there's a few steps involved. This will help you tune in authentically to getting there. And so I just want to leave you with this, and then we'll have a tribe exercise. 2 thoughts. The first is that I actually believe we are living at an extraordinary, exceptional time of opportunity for this world and for this human race. Things have come about and presented themselves, and it may not look like perfection right now. But all of the forces for change are being brought up to awareness and consciousness. We're getting a stirring of energy that's being asked to be shifted in a different way than we have ever seen before. This is a wonderful time of opportunity and possibility. And for you, recognize that wherever you are, whatever your experience is, that your life's journey has brought you to this point absolutely perfectly. When we feel like we're not there, it's because we feel like we have gotten connected, we are getting connected to the story that we're telling ourselves about what's going on. The little narrator that's in our head that's telling us about the things that are happening to us at any given time. I want you to know and to remember that it is not the story that matters. The energy that matters. It's the only thing that ever does. Thank you.
We have 10 minutes for the activity, okay?
To introduce it?
10.
Yep. Okay, so got a couple things already. Here we go. Let me do this. Just at the very bottom, you might not be able to read it. If you wanted the slides or the chart, happiness@IPEC Coaching is an email address. Send it. We'll get it right back to you, or stop by at our booth. So what we're going to roll into is I have the honor of being able to kick us off into our first tribe activity that Luis was describing before. And so tribe facilitators, do me a favor, just stand up one time. So you guys are going to be meeting with your tribe facilitators in just a moment. We've got to kick off the exercise first. Thank you, guys. A couple of ground rules. Please work together. So not just relying on your facilitator to do this for you, but to listen and talk in equal measure. To choose to do this out of a place of discovery, to discover and to connect, and to also feel and bring that gratefulness, that gratitude, that compassion to the group that you are with. After I give you a set of instructions, you're going to hear some music that'll kick off the beginning and then mark off the end of the tribe sequence. What's the music that we're going to hear for kicking it off? All right. So, I'm going to cut it off right there for me, or you're going to see level 1 energy. So here's what I would like to give you as the instructions for this exercise in particular. I would like you to think about what it is that helps you connect the most. But very specifically, consider it as, what does that connection open you into? Does it connect you to gratitude? Does it connect you to joy? Does it connect you to peace, acceptance? Does it connect you to others or to love? So what is that connection that you are looking for most? And just write down 2 or 3 of those words. We're going to take a moment to actually just do this right now. 2 or 3 of those words that is the connection, the feeling, the experience that you want to tune into. So now that you have those 2 or 3 words written down, you can add another one in a moment if you need. I want you to write the words "I am" in front of each of them. So you should now have statements such as, I am compassion. I am gratitude. I am love. I am connection. And in your groups, what I would invite you to do is to share not only these statements for yourselves, but if you are that, what does that look like to bring that to this weekend? Meaning, if I am compassion, I am gratitude, how will the rest of this event, how will the rest of this weekend look? That's part 1. Part 2 is then when we move on from here and bring this back into our lives and into our communities and into our organizations, how will you bring that I am? What will it look like to bring that I am back there as well? What does that I am look like in your house, in your relationships, in your career, in your businesses? Choose any of those that help you create the most vivid image of how you will bring that I am presence back into your full life so you can experience it fully.